The camera pushes through frozen December clouds over North Sea. 1943. The sound of single right cyclone engine coughing, sputtering, dying. Below, Boeing B-17 flying Fortress limps toward England. Barely flying, barely controlled, barely alive. 3 engines dead, 1 struggling. Fuel gauge needle buried past empty, past reserve, past minimum, past zero, into impossible territory. The pilot watches gauge obsessively, cannot stop watching. Needle below everything, engines still running. How? Physics says impossible. Engineering says impossible. Mathematics says impossible. Yet engine runs. Somehow runs. Impossibly runs. Behind him aircraft shredded. 600 holes. Tail destroyed. Nose gone. Half crew dead or dying. Every system failed. Hydraulics gone. Oxygen gone. Electrical gone. Everything gone except determination. Except will. Except refusal to die. England ahead. 10 miles. Might as well be 1,000. Fuel empty. Gauge proves it. Math confirms it. Engine should quit. Should die. Should fall. But runs. Still runs. Impossibly runs. Against physics. Against engineering. Against death approaching. In 30 minutes witness impossible flight. How pilot escaped enemy fire with empty fuel tank. How physics was defied. How determination defeated mathematics. How one young pilot refused accept death and flew on vapor. On prayers. On nothing. The story begins now. December 1943. The strategic air war over Nazi Germany reaches its bloodiest crescendo. 8th Air Force base in England pounds Reich relentlessly. 1,000 bomber raids. Daylight precision bombing doctrine. Deep penetration missions into heavily defended industrial heartland. Ball-bearing factories at Schweinfurt producing critical war materials. Aircraft assembly plants at Regensburg building fighters and bombers. Focke-Wulf production facilities at Bremen manufacturing deadly FW-190 fighters. Oil refineries. Rail yards. Everything designed to cripple Nazi war machine through systematic industrial destruction. Round-the-clock operations. Americans attacking by day with heavy bombers in tight formations. RAF Bomber Command striking by night, with area bombing destroying cities. No respite for German industry. No mercy for German civilians. No end until total victory or complete mutual annihilation. The cost of the strategic bombing campaign staggers human comprehension. Catastrophic losses. Unsustainable attrition rates that shock even hardened commanders. Measured in burning aircraft tumbling from 25,000 feet, trailing smoke and fire. In young men die in frozen sky far from home. In widows created daily by telegram. In orphans produced hourly by statistics. In futures erased constantly by flak and fighters. 8th Air Force loses heavy bombers faster than American industry can replace them. Loses trained crews faster than training command can graduate them. The mathematics are brutal and inescapable and coldly calculated. For every 100 heavy bombers dispatched deep into Reich territory, 10 do not return to English bases. 10% attrition rate deemed acceptable by command staff studying maps and planning missions in warm, comfortable rooms far from combat. Deemed sustainable by statisticians calculating replacement rates and training pipelines. Deemed necessary by strategists planning ultimate victory through industrial destruction. Behind those cold statistics written on mission boards each morning. Behind those acceptable percentages calculated in headquarters. Behind those numbers reducing lives to mathematics. Men die. Boys die. Sons and brothers and husbands and fathers die. Thousands die monthly. Hundreds die weekly. Dozens die daily. Every single mission costs lives. Luftwaffe remains formidable opponent and deadly threat despite mounting losses, and critical fuel shortages strangling operations. Veteran fighter pilots flying excellent aircraft designed specifically for bomber destruction. Focke-Wulf FW-190s with devastating four-cannon armament capable of shredding B-17s. Messerschmitt Bf-109s with superior climb rates and experienced killers at controls who survived years of combat. Coordinated wolf-pack tactics developed and perfected through years of bitter experience. Brutal head-on passes that combine closing speeds exceeding 600 knots. Systematic destruction of bomber formations using proven effective methods. Targeting stragglers falling behind formations. Focusing attacks on damaged aircraft unable to defend. Finishing wounded bombers methodically, like wolves culling weak from herd. Professional killers. Efficient destroyers. Deadly adversaries respecting no quarter given or expected. German flak defenses are sophisticated beyond initial Allied intelligence expectations. Radar-directed 88mm anti-aircraft guns guided by electronic fire control systems. Altitude-fused shells exploding at precise heights. Predicted barrage fires saturating sky with steel. Concentrated fire zones around critical industrial targets. Bremen particularly heavily defended with over 250 flak guns protecting aircraft factories and vital port facilities. Concentric defensive rings surrounding city. Overlapping fields of fire creating killing zones. Turning sky above Bremen into solid steel curtain. Shrapnel storms invisible but everywhere present and deadly. Every single mission into Bremen bleeds bombers from formations. Every raid costs crews their lives and aircraft. High casualties expected always. Accepted reluctantly. Deemed necessary price for strategic victory. Bomber crews understand survival mathematics viscerally and personally. Calculate probabilities constantly. Tour of duty officially requires 25 combat missions over occupied Europe. Complete 25 missions successfully. Go home alive. Return to family waiting. Resume normal peaceful life. Statistics say impossible dream. Mathematics say death waits somewhere between Mission 12 and Mission 20. Probability analysis conducted by Operations Research says less than 25% of crews complete full tour. Most die in burning aircraft. Most disappear over Germany. Most never return home. Shot down by fighters over industrial targets. Crashed in English Channel returning damaged. Disappeared over North Sea with all hands lost. Gone. Just gone. Forever gone. Families receiving telegrams expressing regret. But they fly anyway despite knowing odds. Must fly despite probability of death. Because strategic bombing must continue regardless of cost. Because Nazi Germany must be destroyed industrially before invading France. Because war must be won whatever sacrifice required. Whatever price extracted. Whatever death toll accumulates. The mission continues. Always continues. Forever continues grinding young men into statistics. Until victory achieved. Until Reich destroyed. Until Hitler defeated. Until peace restored. Whichever comes first. Mutual destruction accepted. Expected. Embraced even by desperate men. Just win war. Just destroy Germany. Just end killing. Nothing else matters ultimately. Nothing else counts finally. Just mission. Just duty. Just death accepted as acceptable price for eventual victory and peace. Second Lieutenant Charles Lester Brown, 21 years old. Born October 24th, 1922 in Weston, West Virginia. Small rural town. Farm country. Coal mining region. Appalachian poverty defining childhood. Hard scrabble upbringing teaching resilience. Father worked dangerous coal mines. Low pay. Constant danger underground. Black lung disease threatening. Mother raised 6 children on limited resources. Maximum effort. Minimum support. Brown grew up knowing hardship intimately. Knowing hard work from childhood. Knowing determination required for simple survival in poverty. Graduated high school 1940. Limited opportunities beyond mines or subsistence farming. Future looked bleak. Narrow. Predetermined almost. Then December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor attacked. Everything changed. Like millions of young Americans, Brown felt call. Patriotic fervor. Righteous anger. Determination to serve country in desperate hour. Enlisted Army Air Forces January 1942. Volunteered for flight training. Wanted to fly. Wanted to fight. Wanted to serve meaningfully. Flight training began March 1942. Long, rigorous 18-month program. Primary training in Stearman PT, 17 open cockpit biplanes, learning basic stick and rudder skills, fundamental aerodynamics, basic maneuvers. Some wash out early, cannot master skills. Brown perseveres. Not natural pilot, not gifted aviator, just determined, hard-working, refusing to fail. Basic training in Vultee-BT, 13 Valiant monoplanes. More power, more speed, more complexity, more danger, more students wash out. Brown continues, studies obsessively, practices relentlessly, improves steadily. Advanced training in North American at 6 Texan combat trainers. Complex, powerful aircraft, demanding performance standards, formation flying, instrument flying, navigation, gunnery, everything required. Brown excels through sheer determination. Finally, multi-engine transition training. Beechcraft at 11 Kansan twin-engine bombers, learning to manage multiple engines, coordinate crew, command aircraft, then ultimate goal achieved. B-17 Flying Fortress Heavy Bomber Qualification. For engines, 10-man crew, strategic bombing mission, complex aircraft requiring mastery. Brown graduates August 1943, fully qualified pilot and aircraft commander. Posted European Theater of Operations, November 1943. Assigned 379th Bombardment Group, Heavy, 527th Bombardment Squadron. Based RAF Kimbolton, Huntingdonshire, Eastern England. Brown is serious young man, quiet demeanor, not boastful, not confident swagger like some, just solid, dependable, trustworthy, responsible beyond his years. Crew trusts him immediately upon assignment. They see his dedication to duty, see his thorough preparation, see his genuine concern for their welfare and survival. He studies everything obsessively, aircraft systems intimately, emergency procedures exhaustively, German fighter tactics, enemy aircraft recognition, known flak battery concentrations, escape routes of damage, everything humanly possible to increase crew survival probability even marginally. Takes responsibility seriously, understands 10 lives depend on his decisions, his skill, his judgment under fire. Not naturally gifted pilot, not exceptional talent, not fighter pilot aggressive instinct, just competent bomber pilot, determined leader, hard-working commander, refusing to fail crew depending on him, refusing to let them down, refusing to accept death as inevitable outcome. That determination defines him. That responsibility drives him. That refusal saves him eventually. December 20th, 1943 marks Brown's first combat mission as aircraft commander, first mission to Germany proper, first deep penetration into maximum danger. Bremen heavily defended target. Focke-Wulf factory producing enemy fighters. High casualties expected. Everyone knows Bremen's deadly reputation. Everyone fears Bremen missions. Brown understands risks intellectually, accepts risks professionally, embraces command responsibility despite fear gnawing, despite inexperience worrying, despite everything terrifying. He will lead crew into combat, will complete assigned mission, will bring everyone home safely. That is promise to crew. That is duty to command. That is burden of leadership weighing on 21-year-old shoulders, carrying weight of 10 lives, depending absolutely on him. Brown commands crew 31. 10 men total, including aircraft commander himself. All young men. All combat inexperienced despite months of stateside training. All depending completely on each other for survival. Co-pilot Second Lieutenant Spencer Luke, 23 years old. From Michigan. Steady hands on controls. Calm demeanor under pressure, reliable backup pilot, critical if Brown wounded or killed, must be capable of assuming command instantly. Navigator Second Lieutenant Al Sadek, 24, Pennsylvania, sharp mathematical mind, excellent celestial navigation skills, critical for finding targets through clouds and more importantly finding way home across featureless overcast. Bombardier Second Lieutenant Howard Banks, 22, Ohio, precise bombardier, focused under pressure, responsible for actually hitting assigned targets with expensive bomb loads. Training costs thousands. Must not waste. Flight Engineer Technical Sergeant Charles Blackwell. 25. Texas. Mechanical genius understanding every system aboard complex bomber intimately. Monitors four engines constantly. Fuel consumption rates, oil pressure, temperature, everything. Keeps aircraft flying through mechanical problems. Knows aircraft better than pilots sometimes. Radio Operator Technical Sergeant Richard Petchout. 23. Illinois. Fast fingers on Morse code key. Good ear for radio frequencies through static. Maintains vital communications with command, with other aircraft, with everything outside. Ball Turret Gunner Staff Sergeant Hugh Eckenrode. 20 years old. New York. Smallest crew member physically. Only way to fit cramped Sperry Ball turret suspended underneath fuselage belly. Claustrophobic transparent position. Vulnerable to attacks from below. Deadly position with highest casualty rate statistically. Requires special courage just climbing into that glass sphere. Waist Gunner Staff Sergeants Alex Yelisenko and Samuel Blackford. Both 22. Both manning 50 caliber Browning machine guns in open waist positions. Coldest positions at altitude. Wind screaming through openings. Temperature minus 60 Celsius regularly. Exposed to weather and enemy fire. Frostbite common. Miserable deadly positions requiring endurance. Tail Gunner Staff Sergeant Hugh Eckenrode. 21. Loneliest position at extreme rear of aircraft. Most isolated from other crew members. Most vulnerable to fighter attacks from behind. First target when German fighters attack bomber formations from rear quarter. Deadly exposed frightening position. Good men all. Trained men thoroughly prepared stateside. Bonded crew trusting each other implicitly. Trained together for months. Flew together. Lived together in barracks. Became brothers not by blood, but by bond. By mutual dependence. By understanding survival. Requires perfect teamwork. Requires absolute trust. Requires willingness to sacrifice. Each man has family waiting anxiously back home. Parents, siblings, girlfriends. Some married already. All have futures planned beyond war. Dreams of normal peaceful lives. Jobs, families, growing old together. Simple dreams. Impossible dreams during war. Uncertain dreams every mission. Today those dreams tested. Today those futures hang by thread. Mission briefing begins 0400 hours, December 20th, 1943. Freezing cold Nissen hut serving as Squadron Operations Center. Officers and enlisted aircrew crowd together, seeking warmth and information. Tense heavy silence. Nervous coughs. Quiet prayers muttered under breath. Cigarettes smoked nervously. Intelligence officer approaches large mission board covered by canvas curtain, concealing target information. Tension builds unbearably. He pulls curtain back, dramatically revealing route. Red string stretches from England across Channel deep into Germany, terminating at Bremen. Audible gasps throughout crowded room. Whispered curses. Silent, desperate prayers offered. Everyone knows Bremen's deadly reputation. Everyone fears Bremen's sophisticated defenses. Highest casualty rates in theater. Most dangerous target regularly bombed. Death waiting. Intelligence officer continues briefing in flat professional monotone, reading from classified documents. Primary target Focke-Wulf aircraft, assembly plant at Bremen, producing FW-190 fighters. Critical strategic target. Must be destroyed to reduce enemy fighter production. Secondary target shipbuilding facilities producing U-boats, threatening Atlantic convoys. Tertiary target rail, marshalling yards, moving war materials. Expected opposition characterized as heavy flak from over 250 radar-directed guns. Expected fighter opposition classified as moderate to heavy based on intelligence estimates. Luftwaffe Jagerschwader 11 and JG-1 fighter wings based nearby airfields. FW-190s and BF-109s flown by veteran experienced pilots. Aggressive coordinated tactics expected based on previous missions. Expected losses deemed acceptable at 10% rate. 35 bombers not returning from 350 dispatched. 350 men casualties. Acceptable losses written coldly on blackboard. That word echoes through consciousness. Acceptable. Numbers replacing lives. Statistics replacing humanity. Mathematics replacing faces and names and families. Brown listens intently to every word. Takes detailed notes in small leather notebook with pencil. Studies target reconnaissance photos, carefully noting landmarks. Studies planned route, carefully marking waypoints and timing. Studies known flak battery locations, circling heavy concentrations in red pencil. Studies Luftwaffe fighter base locations and typical intercept points. Studies emergency landing fields if damaged. Studies everything humanly possible to increase survival odds, even marginally. First mission as aircraft commander. First mission to Germany proper. First deep penetration into maximum danger zone. Must succeed at mission. Must perform professionally under fire. Must bring entire crew home safely alive. All crew, every single man. That is sacred responsibility accepted. That is burden of command embraced. That is duty weighing heavily on young shoulders unprepared for weight. Crews dismissed prepare. Board trucks to hard stands at 0530 hours. Still dark outside. Still cold freezing. Still frightening contemplating day ahead. They arrive at assigned aircraft parking area. B. 17F Flying Fortress serial number 42 to 31,377. Named the old pub painted in white letters on olive drab nose section. Their aircraft, their responsibility. Their life for next 10 hours of combat. Ground crew chief reports aircraft status professionally. All systems checked overnight. All 4 engines test run. All defensive guns loaded with ammunition. All bombs loaded in bay. 12 500-pound general-purpose bombs. 6,000 pounds high explosives. Fuel tanks completely full. 2,800 gallons aviation gasoline. Sufficient for mission with reserves. Everything maximum load. Everything ready. Everything deadly purpose. Brown conducts personal thorough walk-around inspection. Never trusts others completely with crew safety. His responsibility. His crew. His life. Checks everything personally. Tires for proper inflation. Struts for leaks. Controls surfaces for freedom of movement. Propellers for damage. Everything visible. Satisfied. Climbs aboard through belly hatch. Runs through extensive pre-flight checklist item by item. Methodical. Professional. Thorough. Never rushing. Never assuming. Always verifying. Engine start sequence begins. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. 4 right are 1820-97 Cyclone 9-cylinder radial engines, 1,800 horsepower each, 7,200 horsepower total. When all operating properly, all 4 start smoothly, warm up properly. Instruments all showing green needles indicating normal operating parameters. Controls respond correctly to yoke and rudder pedal inputs. All surfaces deflecting properly. Crew reports all 10 stations manned and ready via interphone. All equipment checked. All defensive guns test fired safely into dirt berms. Everything ready. Everything professional. Everything as trained stateside. Tower clears the old pub for taxi at 0630 hours. Brown advances, 4 throttles smoothly forward. For engines roar magnificently in synchronized harmony. Tremendous raw power vibrating airframe. Beautiful mechanical symphony. Deadly purpose driving everything forward. Aircraft lumbers slowly along perimeter taxiway. Heavy, grossly overloaded. Maximum weight. Dangerous if engine fails during critical takeoff phase. Other bombers taxiing. Forming long line. Eventually 350B, 17 flying fortresses forming massive combat box formations. Multiple groups at staggered altitudes. Overlapping defensive fire zones. Mutual protection theory. Beautiful precise formation. Terrible deadly purpose. Bomb run begins approaching Bremen at 0950 hours. Final 10-minute straight level flight absolutely mandatory. No evasion permitted whatsoever. No defensive maneuvers allowed at all. Bombardier Banks controls aircraft through Norden bombsight linked directly to autopilot. Brown's hands off control yoke. Helpless feeling he hates. Trusting Bombardier completely. Trusting sophisticated but temperamental equipment. Trusting luck and fate and God. Whatever works. Flak begins immediately upon entering Bremen defensive zone. Bremen defense is among absolute heaviest in entire Germany. Over 250 anti-aircraft guns firing coordinated barrages. Thousands of shells launched. Sky literally becomes solid steel. Black clouds of explosions everywhere. Orange fiery centers. Shrapnel completely invisible but everywhere present and deadly. Sound like heavy metal hail hammering aluminum skin brutally. Violent concussions rocking entire aircraft. Near misses constant and absolutely terrifying. Direct hits on other bombers visible. Aircraft smoking. Falling. Crews bailing desperately. Parachutes blooming white. Falling slowly toward captivity. Gone from formation. Then direct hit on ye old pub. Before bombs even released. Flak shell detonates catastrophically close. Maybe 20 feet. Shrapnel storm hits nose section. Plexiglass nose shatters completely into 1,000 fragments. Nothing remains but twisted metal frame and freezing hurricane wind. Entire bombardier compartment destroyed instantly. Minus 60 Celsius air roars through at 300 knots. Banks wounded badly. Face lacerated by plexiglass shards. Blood everywhere. Blinding, but continues working. Professional dedication. Duty above pain. Navigator Sadek, wounded simultaneously. Leg shrapnel. Deep penetrating wounds. Bleeding heavily. Arterial, maybe. Critical. Number 2 engine hit directly by shrapnel. Cowling shredded. Engine losing power rapidly. Streaming white glycol coolant smoke. Windmilling. Luke shuts down immediately. Feathers propeller. 1 engine gone. Number 4 engine already questionable from earlier minor hit. Now damaged further. Throttle back, preventing overspeeding. Barely functioning. Essentially useless. Controls damaged. Hydraulic lines severed. Fluid leaking. Sluggish response. Everything degrading rapidly. Everything failing simultaneously. Everything destroying systematically. But bomb run continues because must. Cannot abort now. Cannot turn away. Cannot waste mission. Must be completed. Banks focuses through blood obscuring vision. Ignores pain. Ignores wounds. Focuses only on target approaching in Norden bombsight crosshairs. Altitude correct 27,300 feet. Airspeed maintained somehow despite damage. Wind drift calculated through blood and pain. Everything aligning despite chaos. Despite wounds. Despite death surrounding. He releases bombs precisely on target. All 12 500-pound bombs. Bombs away. 6,000-pound high explosives falling toward Focke-Wulf factory 5 miles below. Ye old pub lurches upward dramatically. 12,000 pounds suddenly lighter. Faster. More responsive temporarily. Mission accomplished. Target hit successfully. Duty fulfilled completely. Now survival priority. Now escape imperative. Now flying home if physically possible. Increasingly impossible, but must attempt. Brown attempts rejoining protective formation immediately. Cannot maintain position. Too slow. Too damaged. Number 2 engine dead. Number 4 barely producing quarter power. Effective power reduced to approximately 40% of normal. Formation pulling steadily ahead maintaining planned speed. Leaving damage ye old pub behind. Straggler now. Alone. Completely vulnerable. Death sentence for stragglers. Everyone knows this fact. German fighters hunt stragglers exclusively. Easy wounded prey. Certain kills. Brown knows. Luke knows. Every crew member knows. Everyone understands their fate, probably sealed. But no choice exists. Cannot maintain formation speed. Cannot abandon aircraft. Cannot bail out over Germany. Just continue flying west. Toward distant England. Toward impossible hope diminishing. Coordinated fighter attack begins within 5 minutes. Over dozen German fighters total. Mixed force. FW-190s and BF-109s. JG-11 interceptors. They coordinate attack professionally using radio communications. Proven effective tactics. They attack repeatedly using various approaches. Head-on passes most effective. Maximum destructive effect. 600 knots combined closing speed. Minimal time for defensive fire. B. 17 nose guns firing desperately through destroyed nose section. Wind making aiming nearly impossible. German cannon firing devastating shells. 20mm high explosive rounds. 30mm armor-piercing shells. Everything specifically designed to destroy heavy bombers efficiently. First concentrated pass causes additional devastating damage. Number 3 engine hit badly. Direct hits. Power reduced dramatically to half. Only producing 900 horsepower now. Only one engine producing full rated power now. Effective power approximately 40% total from 4 engines designed. Half power. Critically underpowered. Barely sustainable flight. Oxygen system destroyed completely. Lines severed by cannon shells. Pressure lost totally. Oxygen venting uselessly outside through holes. Crew reserves depleting rapidly. Time until unconsciousness severely limited. Hypoxia approaching. Judgment impairment beginning. Coordination degrading. Consciousness threatened. Hydraulic system hit critically. Multiple hits. Fluid leaking everywhere streaming behind aircraft. Red hydraulic fluid visible. Pressure dropping steadily. Flight control surfaces stiffening progressively. Controls becoming increasingly heavy. Difficult to move. Soon impossible probably. Electrical system damaged extensively. Wiring harnesses severed by shrapnel and bullets. Systems failing randomly. Instruments dying. Gauges spinning. Navigation capability compromised. Communications capability degraded. Everything systematically destroyed. Everything failing simultaneously. Everything becoming impossible. Defensive guns jamming from extreme cold and damage. -60°C freezing mechanisms. Oil congealing in actions. Firing mechanisms freezing solid. Most guns becoming completely inoperative. Defense becoming impossible. Just enduring attacks. Just suffering damage accumulation. Just dying incrementally. Second concentrated coordinated pass infinitely worse. Multiple aircraft attacking simultaneously from different angles. Overwhelming devastating firepower. Cannon shells ripping entire length of fuselage. Hundreds of holes created. Perforated everywhere. Looking like colander, not aircraft. Tail section shredded absolutely. Half rudder surface gone completely. Port elevator missing entirely. Critical control surfaces destroyed. Aerodynamic balance catastrophically destroyed. Aircraft wanting to roll uncontrollably right. Wanting to enter flat spin. Wanting to crash immediately. Brown fights controls desperately with both hands. Full strength required. Maximum effort. Luke helping simultaneously. Both pilots fighting together. Combined maximum effort barely maintaining marginal tenuous control. Aircraft wants to kill them. Wants to crash. Wants to fall. Only pilot skill preventing immediate death. Tail gunner Eckenrode killed instantly during attacks. Direct cannon shell hit. Decapitated. Dead immediately. Body slumped in shattered tailgun position. First combat death. Not last probably. Waist gunner Yelesenko hit critically. Leg nearly severed by cannon shell. Massive arterial bleeding. Minutes from death without immediate treatment impossible to provide. Blackford's feet frozen completely solid. Heating system destroyed. Electrical shorts. Frostbite developing rapidly. Tissue dying. Gangrene threat. Petchout hit. Right shoulder shrapnel. Bleeding. Painful but manageable with adrenaline. Brown hit. Left shoulder. Shell fragment embedded. Bleeding. Painful. Manageable. Must manage. Must fly. Must save crew, depending on him. Half crew now dead or seriously wounded. Aircraft destroyed beyond recognition. Hope vanishing like fuel from punctured tanks. Death approaching inevitably. Attacks continue relentlessly for over 10 minutes. Eternal 10 minutes. Longest 10 minutes in history. Multiple passes, different angles, overwhelming firepower. Brown maneuvers violently, throwing bomber into steep banks, trying to spoil aim, using every trick learned, every maneuver possible. Aircraft barely responding. Controls heavy, hydraulics minimal, aerodynamics destroyed. Just fighting, just surviving, just refusing to die easily. At one point, Brown loses consciousness completely. Hypoxia, oxygen deprivation at altitude, brain starved. Aircraft enters uncontrolled flat spin, spinning, diving, rotating, falling toward Earth 5 miles below. German city Oldenburg visible below. Houses, streets, death approaching rapidly. Luke tries pulling controls alone. Cannot. Too heavy, too damaged. Requires both pilots. Aircraft falling, spinning. For miles, 3 miles, 2 miles. Crew screaming. Everyone thinking finished, finally. Everyone preparing for death. At 3,000 feet, Brown regains consciousness. Lower altitude. More oxygen naturally available. Atmospheric pressure higher. Brain receives minimal oxygen. Consciousness returns. Instinct. Years of training. Desperation. Survival instinct overwhelming. He sees ground approaching. Houses. Trees. Death second away. Halls. Control yoke back with both hands. Full strength. Maximum effort. Luke helps simultaneously. Both pilots together pulling desperately. Aircraft responds barely. Reluctantly. Painfully slowly. Nose begins rising. Angle shallowing. Spin stopping. Dive, pulling out. Just barely. Levels 1,000 feet. Houses flashing past below. Rooftops close enough to touch. Church steeples barely cleared. Barely avoided crashing. Barely avoided killing everyone. But alive still. Impossibly alive. Against everything. Then miracle occurs. Unexpected. Unexplained. Impossible. Fighters break off attack suddenly. Stop shooting. Stop pursuing. Just leave. Why? Brown does not know. Does not understand initially. Expecting final attack. Expecting killing blow. Expecting death finally. But they leave. Disappear. Gone. He assesses damage quickly while able. Catastrophic. Beyond catastrophic. 3 engines effectively dead or dying. Number 1 producing minimal power. Vibrating badly. Overheating. Temperature redline. Number 3 producing half power. Both compromised. Fuel situation critical. Multiple tanks punctured. Leaking constantly. Fuel streaming behind aircraft. Vapor trail visible. Consumption rate versus capacity calculation terrifying. Controls barely responding. Most hydraulics gone completely. Tail shredded. Fuselage perforated hundreds of holes. Not aircraft anymore. Flying wreckage. Flying impossibility. Flying miracle. Then sees it. German fighter. Messerschmitt Bf 109. Flying alongside close formation. Right wing. Too close. 3 feet separation. Brown tenses expecting final attack. Expecting cannon fire. Expecting death finally arriving. But German pilot not firing. Not attacking. Just flying alongside. Looking inside damaged bomber. Observing. Brown sees pilot clearly through scratch canopy. Young man. Maybe same age. Looking at destroyed bomber. At wounded crew visible through holes. At impossible survival. German pilot is Oberleutnant Franz Stigler. Veteran ace. Combat experienced. 27 confirmed victories. Could finish them easily. Should finish them. Orders require it. Regulations demand it. Career advancement expects it. But does not, cannot, will not. Why? Stigler remembers commanding officer's words years earlier. Gustav Rodel. North Africa days. Desert War. If I ever see or hear of you shooting at man in parachute, I will shoot you myself. Parachuting airman is defenseless, helpless. Shooting him is murder, not combat. Murder. This bomber, same situation. Defenseless, helpless, destroyed. Crew wounded. Shooting them would be murder. Not combat, not honorable, not acceptable to conscience. Stigler cannot, will not, despite orders, despite regulations, despite career implications, despite everything military. Humanity matters more. Honor matters more. Decency matters more than duty. He decides instantly, will escort damage bomber, will protect from other fighters, will save enemies because that is right thing, that is honorable thing, that is human thing, that is choice defining him forever. Stigler flies close formation deliberately, right wing position, gesturing repeatedly, trying to communicate without radio, pointing north, toward Sweden, neutral country, land there, medical treatment, interment but survival, better than death. Brown does not understand gestures initially. Thinks German trying to force landing in Germany. Capture, prison camp, refuses, continues flying west, toward England. Only hope. Stigler tries again. More gestures, more pointing, more urgency. Brown still does not understand. Just sees enemy dangerously close. Threatening maybe, orders dorsal turret gunner. Track him. Aim guns. Do not fire. Warning only. Stigler sees guns tracking him. Point blank range. Understands message clearly. Understands Americans do not trust. Understandable completely. Accepts. He continues escort anyway, protecting them. Flies alongside, then ahead, then alongside again pattern. Protecting from flak batteries below. German gunner CBF 109 escorting damage bomber. Assumed captured American bomber being flown to German airfield. Do not fire. Stigler's presence actively saves him from ground fire repeatedly. Saves him continuously. Miracle. Impossible miracle. Enemy becoming guardian angel protecting from death. Brown turns west toward coast. Toward North Sea. Toward England beyond. Only choice. Only hope. Must reach England. Must land somewhere. Must save crew. Stigler continues escort faithfully. Miles of escort. Protecting vigilantly. Guarding carefully. Saving repeatedly. They cross German coast. North Sea ahead. Open water. Cold, deadly water. Brown's crew confused. Terrified. Grateful maybe. Understanding unclear. Just hoping. Just praying. Just surviving impossibly somehow. Stigler flies close final time. Salutes formally. Nods respectfully. Then rolls away disappearing. Gone. Back to Germany. Back to war. Back to killing. But today showed mercy. Today chose humanity. Today saved 10 Americans because that was right honorable human thing. He flies away never speaking of incident. Would mean court-martial certainly. Would mean execution probably for treason. Aiding enemy. Disobeying direct orders. He stays silent. Forever silent. Until decades later reunion. Brown flies west alone again over North Sea. But alive impossibly. Must reach England. 40 miles ahead. Assesses situation honestly. Grim. Beyond grim. Hopeless almost. 3 engines dead. 1 barely running. Controls barely responding. Crew wounded. 1 dead. Fuel leaking constantly. Gauges dropping steadily. Relentlessly. Terrifyingly. He watches fuel gauges obsessively. Cannot stop watching. All 4 engine fuel gauges. Numbers dropping. Needles descending. Mathematics brutal. Fuel remaining versus fuel consumption rate versus distance to England versus time required. Math says will not make it. Math says engine quits before reaching England. Math says ditching in North Sea. Math says death in cold water. Survival time 12 minutes maximum. Math says impossible. But must try. Must ignore math. Must believe beyond reason. Must hope beyond logic. Must pray beyond faith. Must everything beyond everything. He climbs slightly attempting to gain altitude. Every foot gained is safety margin. Every foot is glide distance. Every foot is hope. Aircraft responds reluctantly to climb input. Struggles gaining altitude. Damage, underpowered. Heavy with remaining fuel and ammunition and equipment and crew. Reaches 5,000 feet maximum. Best possible. Cannot climb higher. Damaged aircraft cannot climb further. Just maintain altitude. Just fly straight. Just survive long enough. Just reach England. Please God. Just England. Time passes. Eternal time. Subjective infinity. Objective hell. Fuel gauges dropping steadily. Inexorably. Mathematically. Fatally. Number one engine, only engine producing power now. Others windmilling or feathered. Consuming precious fuel. Depleting irreplaceable reserves. Gauges showing critically dangerously impossibly low. Approaching minimums. Approaching emergency reserves. Approaching empty. Brown watches hypnotized. Cannot stop watching. Needle dropping slowly. Each movement representing gallons consumed. Miles of range lost. Hope diminishing. Reaches minimum fuel level. Red line on gauge. Emergency reserve. Continues dropping past minimum. Into reserve. Deep reserve. Final reserve. Then approaching empty. Needle touching zero. Then unbelievably, impossibly beyond zero. Below empty. Below minimum. Below everything. Below impossible. Impossible reading. Gauge must be broken. Must be incorrect. Must be malfunctioning. Because engine still running. Still producing power. Still flying impossibly. Still functioning impossibly. Minutes pass eternal. Fuel gauge buried completely below empty marking. Needle past zero. In impossible territory. Engine still running somehow. Not stopping. Not quitting. Not dying. Just running impossibly. Impossibly running impossibly. Brown cannot understand. Luke cannot understand. Blackwell flight engineer cannot understand despite mechanical expertise. He checks gauge. Taps glass. Checks fuel lines. Checks everything accessible. Cannot explain phenomenon. Just accepts. Just grateful. Just praying continues impossibly. Maybe fuel trapped somewhere inaccessible to gauge. Maybe residual fuel in lines feeding engine. Maybe vapor combustion, sustaining operation briefly. Maybe prayers physically answered. Maybe miracle occurring. Whatever reason, whatever explanation, whatever physics. Engine runs. That matters. Only matters. Everything that matters. England appears finally ahead. Coast visible. White cliffs. Dover. Home. Beautiful, impossible home. Safe, miraculous home. Salvation visible ahead. But fuel gauge empty. Beyond empty. Impossibly beyond empty. Engine still running impossibly. Still flying impossibly. Still functioning impossibly beyond physics, beyond engineering, beyond everything. Brown spots emergency landing field. RAF Woodbridge. Suffolk Coast. Emergency airstrip built specifically for damaged bombers returning from missions. Extra long runway. Wide. Forgiving. Perfect, exactly what needed desperately. Last chance. Only chance. Everything chance. Final hope. He aims carefully toward field. Begins gentle descent. Cannot stress anything. Cannot demand anything beyond minimum. Just guide carefully. Just hope desperately. Just land impossibly. Calls tower emergency frequency. Voice hoarse. Throat damaged. Mayday. Mayday. B-17 heavy bomber, 3 engines out. Multiple wounded aboard. Fuel critically exhausted. Hydraulics failed. Controls damaged. Request immediate emergency landing. Priority emergency. Tower responds immediately, professionally, calmly. Bless them. Roger, emergency B-17. Understood completely. You are cleared, immediate landing. Runway 08. No other traffic. Crash equipment rolling now. Medical ambulances standing by. Hospital alerted. Fire trucks positioned. Everything ready. Bring her home. Just bring her home. We have you. Brown appreciates calm, professional voice tremendously. Appreciates help. Appreciates everything. Appreciates being called home. That word. Home. Beautiful word. Impossible word. Hoped word. He descends carefully. 500 feet altitude. 400. 300. Glide slope acceptable. Alignment perfect. Airspeed adequate barely. Everything functioning marginally. Everything holding desperately. Everything praying. Crew silent. Everyone watching. Everyone hoping. Everyone praying. Wounded suffering quietly. Dead honored silently. Everyone together final minutes. Brotherhood absolute. Then it happens. Inevitable. Expected. Feared. Engine quits. Number 1. Finally. Completely. Totally. Fuel exhaustion finally final. No power remaining. No thrust. Nothing. Sudden silence. After hours of engine roar constant. Silence. Deadly silence. Terrifying silence. Silence meaning death approaching. But altitude sufficient maybe. Speed adequate possibly. Glide achievable hopefully. Can make runway. Maybe. Barely. Possibly. Prayerfully. He glides heavy bomber. Not designed for gliding. Designed for powered flight. For engines providing thrust. Not gliding characteristics. But glides anyway because must. Because no choice remains. Because only chance exists. Because alternative is crashing short into houses, into village, into death, killing everyone, including civilians. Cannot allow. Must reach runway. Must make field. Must land safely. For crew depending. For civilians below. For everyone. Everything depending on next 60 seconds. 200 feet altitude. Runway ahead. Close. Very close. Can make it maybe. Probably. Hopefully. 150 feet. Still gliding. Still descending. Still moving forward. Speed adequate just barely. Glide ratio acceptable marginally. 100 feet. Runway threshold ahead. Close now. 50 feet. Going to make it. Going to reach runway. Going to survive impossibly. Crosses threshold boundary. Just barely. Almost didn't make. Almost crashed short into approach lights. But made it. Over runway. Safe concrete. Beautiful runway. Life-saving runway. Flares aircraft. Pulls control yoke back carefully. Cannot stall. Cannot drop. Cannot crash now after everything. Controls respond minimally. Barely. Enough. Just enough. Main landing gear touches down first. Hard landing. Heavy landing. No hydraulics. No brakes. No flaps fully extended. Just momentum and gravity and hope. Hits hard. Bounces slightly. Settles. Nose gear slams down heavily. Rolls forward. Slowing gradually. No brakes. Just friction. Just drag. Just prayer. Rolls. Rolls. Slowing. Slowing. Finally stops. Middle of runway. Perfect position. Miraculous position. Impossible position. Stopped safely. Saved impossibly. Survived beyond understanding. Mission complete impossibly. Fuel exhausted impossibly. Empty tank impossibly. Physics defeated impossibly. Death defeated impossibly. Everyone alive living. Everyone wounded surviving. Everyone together safe. Impossible achieved. Miracle proven. God answered. Something answered. Someone answered. Answered impossibly. Silence absolute after engine stops. After hours of noise constant. After hours of wind screaming. After hours of everything. Silence. Beautiful silence. Impossible silence. Survival silence. Safe silence. Home silence. England silence. Life silence. They made it impossibly. Home impossibly. Safe impossibly. Alive impossibly. Against mathematics. Against physics. Against fuel gauges. Against engineering. Against probability. Against death. Against everything. They made it. 10 men departed. 9 men returned. 1 dead honored. 8 wounded treated. All home. All England. All safe. All impossible. All actual. All proven. All miraculous. All everything. All survived. Against impossible. Against fuel empty. Against death certain. Survived. Just survived. Impossibly survived. Actually survived. Finally survived. Forever survived. Emergency vehicles arrive within seconds. Ambulances. Fire trucks. Medical personnel. Crash crews. Everyone. They approach aircraft cautiously initially, see damage, cannot believe eyes, cannot comprehend destruction. Hundreds of holes everywhere, entire sections destroyed.